morning. Seven Rivers Racing here in KQEGTV. I'm Dan Deicher, coming off of another fantastic crowd-filled weekend at several racetracks here in western Wisconsin. As a matter of fact, instead of taking the day off Sunday, I traveled to a racetrack in Wisconsin. Believe it or not, I have never been to, and we're going to talk about that here in a couple of moments. As we do every race program, we start recapping last weekend's events. We'll start things off again at the Crosse Speedway, where we had 5 classes, Buck Night, and over 3,000 people in attendance. And what a night we had as we had our NASCAR late models for the third straight week. They went nose to tail, 3 cars all the way through. We're going to share the last 2 of the feature event here. And again, Steve Carlson found himself involved in the 3 cars right towards the end. Jay Herbst was pretty set up this night. Steve Carlson, a couple of attempts is what he was telling us, that he could have tried to get down underneath Jay Herbst. He tried to go around over the top one time, which he's a master of doing. Just couldn't get his car to do it. And, of course, the car dictates what's going on the track. And the way you see him right there on that white flag lap is how they finished things off. It was Jay Herbst and Steve Carlson. Also keeping his nose in there for several laps was Sean Paff as they dueled it out right there for second place at the line. Matt Henderson and Todd Korish rounding out the top 5. And Jay Herbst with the win stays second in points. Steve Carlson maintains that point lead, and Sean Paff, who's been running a part-time schedule this year, finds himself there still in the top 10. Looking at the points, it's Carlson, Herbst, Mike Carlson doing a nice job this year. He's currently third, followed by Brad Powell and Todd Korish. We had the sportsman out, 15 laps, caution-free, and probably one of the best finishes we've had to a race the entire season. Every time I say that, the next weekend we get a better finish. And if you get a chance, look at Bruce Noodleman's ultimate lap photos on Facebook. He took a shot of this finish in the flag stand and showed how close this was. This is turn 4. Steve Bachman still trailing. Jared Logging hanging back there. Your race leader is Billy Martin. And we kind of wondered if Steve Bachman, who's still in the points race, had enough to do what he'd been doing all night long, sitting on the outside rail, no place to go. He would get upside of Martin, then he would trail back. And I asked him on the track, what were you thinking right here? And said, man, I got to do this right now. He punches the accelerator as they come out of turn 4. And this was the closest finish we've had the entire season. Right there, some fantastic bite. And he got that thing at the line by about 4 inches, I would want to say, as we were trying to back that thing up. Here it is again. Watch how close the 2 front bumpers are right there. Love seeing the photo finishes at the Crosse Speedway, and man, that was a good one there. And I even asked Steve, his dad standing right down below me where I announced it. I thought he threw both of his shoulders out of its sockets as his eyes got this big and his arms went up when Steve got that race win. So nice job, Billy Martin. They held on as much as he could. Greg Scheck, Jared Logging, Jake Arneson finished 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Looking at the points, with 1 regular season night of racing left, it's Jake Arneson leading Steve Bachman by 23, Greg Scheck 31 back. Then it's Bill Martin, Jared Logging. Top 3, believe it or not, you can drop 50 points in a heartbeat on any race night at the Speedway. And those 3 are going to be heading this one into Oktoberfest race weekend. Mid-American Stock Car Series were back out. 14 very strong cars. They started 14 in the feature, ended up with 7, and we're going to show you what happened during this one here as we give the last 3 laps of their feature event. The hometown crowd was really gunning for one of the drivers down there. That would have been the 22, or the 23, that is, of Danny Gilster. Had a couple of chances to stay up front. Attrition kind of set in as he was going his way through some caution laps. But this night belonged to Bill Prietzel, as he did a nice job of holding everybody off to win this race right here. Jack Stern, Ben Glasscock, well, they were in this until the big wreck. We're going to show you even Rick Tackman and Ryan Gutnick. But Jeremy Spoonmore, he held on strong right there. He took a 2nd place finish. Danny Gilster did finish 3rd. Fulfer and Dustin Krebs rounded out the top 5 in a race that was nice to see them back. We only see the Mid-American Racing Series at La Crosse usually only during Oktoberfest, unless we can get them in early in the schedule in the race year. And on the last lap right here, Jeremy Spoonmore did what he could to try to hold on, but didn't have enough in this 30-lap feature event. And that leaves the points with Brad Keith, Mark Pleward, Jeremy Spoonmore, and Rick Tackman Jr. And Danny Gilster rounds out the top 5. Danny Gilster is also going for Rookie of the Year with the Mid-American Stock Car Series. I'm going to show you this big wreck that happened as well. And boy, there were a lot of shouting going down to the pits when the races were done Saturday night. And we're going to cue this one up and pop this for you here. This was deep in the mix right here. Danny Gilster was trying to run up front. And then you're going to see a little turning going on, a little collision going on, some paint trading on the back straightaway. And this one actually could have got a little bit messier than it did. Two of them going around, taking a third with them. There's a fourth, there's a fifth. And again, we started the feature with 14 cars. After that wreck, we were down to 9. We had another caution later on in the race, and we were down to 7. So that's how that one stuck. We'll slow this one down. And this is one where you got two drivers that just kind of ran out of real estate and ended up, there's the first contact. And as they get in the corners, now there was no more asphalt there to be running on. And cars just started going around with the contact there. And, of course, when you start going sideways at any racetrack, anybody that's behind you is going to be in a bad luck situation and running out of real estate, as you're going to see the Prietzel yellow car right there just drifted up, nowhere to go. And he had a part sale down to the pits afterwards. So Mid-American Stock Car Series, was great to see them back out here. You'll see them again coming up during Oktoberfest. Thunder Stocks, this was an interesting race as well. You've got 3 drivers in contention for the points chase. As we pop the last 2 on for you, Adam Moore again starts in the back. Jordan Myers starts in the back. Worked their way to the front. Jordan Myers had pretty much taken off with this one. Andy Moore, of course, was in tow the entire time. But Adam Moore, once he got past Jordan Myers about halfway through this, he was just off and running. This is his 6th feature win of the year, and he ties a record from 2010 when he picked up 6 feature wins. Only 2 nights of racing left for him to break his own personal record. That is coming up this weekend and, of course, during Oktoberfest. Heading into next weekend, Jordan Myers 16 points back, and Jason Molster is 27 points back. And you can find out the current point standings at LaCrosse.Speedway.com. When we come back, we'll recap the Outlaws. We'll let you know the winners at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. And we've got a couple of other different races coming up at the Speedway for the rest of this year. We've got a driver that's in here that's going to talk more about that, as he's one of the big veterans at the Speedway. That's all coming up next on Seven Rivers Racing here on KQEGTV.
When you're all out of good ideas and you've moved on to the dumb ones, it's time. American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning, a higher standard of comfort.
May I take your order?
Be not defeated by indecision. Choose the path that leads to a better day. Choose the way of the meal.
Make it a meal with one of Cousin Sub's new pork subs, the Memphis steak or the Cubano for a limited time only.
The key to happiness is sharing.
Oh.
Cousin Subs. Better bread, better subs, better day.
Did you know that the Holman American Legion is open to the public? That's right, 7 days a week you can enjoy the full-service bar while watching your favorite sports team or NASCAR driver. You don't need to be a member to enjoy the Holman American Legion's rotating lunch special every Tuesday for only $6. A banquet hall with seating up to 250 people is also available for weddings, birthdays, or any other special event. See you at the Holman American Legion, 419 First Avenue West in Holman.
Get ready for the Thunder! The Mississippi Thunder Speedway.
Your Friday night racing destination.
Racing starts at 7. Super stocks.
Modified.
600 mods.
Pure stocks.
Street stocks.
Levi.
It's racing excitement, dirt track style.
Tickets $12 for adults. $5 18 and under. $8 for students. Or our family pack.
$25 for 2 adults and 3 kids 18 and under.
Friday night racing starts at 7.
Bring on the Thunder!
Dirt track style at the Mississippi Thunder Speedway. Highway 35 just north of Fountain City.
We're back, Seven Rivers Racing on KQEGTV. I'm Dan Deicher. Thanks for joining us on the program as our last weekend race recaps continue. Back to the La Crosse Speedway we go. And the Bolden Construction Outlaws are back out again. Pretty good loaded field this time. Even had Ron Lockington come out in that 74 pickup truck and hit a spot out during the heat race, but came back out, put on quite the show during the feature. This will be another outlaw division that's going to be taken all the way down to the wire. When it comes to Oktoberfest, Cole shows he's going to need some duct tape. This is about the 3rd straight race. He's walked away with parts hanging, hoods all flying. A lot of contact between he and Logging right there. And Jared Logging dominated this one as soon as he got past the 2-car. But Wayne Smith was the man to beat all night, won the heat race. And as soon as he got around and found some clean air, he was off and running and took home the feature event. And as we look into the point standings, Jared Logging is going to be leading them into Oktoberfest for the championship. Tom Leathey's only 7 back. Cole shows he's only 8 back. Again, we only have one night of racing for the regular season coming up. That is this weekend. Late Model Sportsman Thunder Stocks and the Late Model Driver Match Race Showdown, which is pretty cool. We started that last year, and we're going to bring that back out this Saturday night. To the dirt track we go, Mississippi Thunder Speedway. Nice crowd, fantastic car crowd last weekend. Their points championship is this Friday night, and then the $10,000 to win Bayman Challenge is September, the Thursday, Friday, and Saturday of the first week of September. 600 Modifieds went to Kurt Lubin. He also won a heat race. Bob Cizeski followed him in line with a heat race win. The A-Mini Modifieds, Jet Sorensen got the feature. Jackson Hale took checkers with a heat race win. Braden Brower won the B-Mini Modifieds. Hunter Cizeski and Elizabeth Loberg got heat race wins on the Lightning Speedway. To the big track we go. Eric Pember held off Keith Foss and Brad Oates to get himself a USRA Modified feature win. Josh Angst and Eric Pember took home heat race wins. Pure Stocks went to Bobby Ford Jr. George Richards got a heat race win as well at Mississippi Thunder. The Street Stocks was interesting. Doug Wojcik entered the week trying to get his 8th straight feature win and 10th on the season. Started towards the back of this one here, and Sean Mann ended up getting by, and he stops the Wojcik streak at 7 straight feature wins. Wojcik did take second. Danny Hansen took third, followed by Mike Blowers and Corey Hansen. Doug Wojcik and Danny Hansen also getting heat race wins at the dirt track last weekend. Super Stocks went to Tommy Richards. He, Ben Hillman, and Kelly Anderson had a nice 3-way battle going on with about 3 laps to go. And U.S. Gary Rizkala and Ben Hillman also picked up heat race wins. USRA B-Mod, Sean Walski beat Ben Modry and Eric Cans across the line to take the checkers. John Van Minsel, Parker Hale, Alex Williamson picked up heat race wins there as well. So we get points championship night at the Mississippi Thunder Speedway Friday night up in Fountain City. Check out MississippiThunder.com to get more information there. And all 4 days of that racing coming up here in a couple of weeks for the $10,000 to win B-Mod Challenge. Expecting about 200 entrants from about 17 different states. And even the A-Mods are running 3 nights for $1,000 to win all 3 nights. So a lot of cash, great time. Going to have a bull up there. You can do some bull riding, partying, and whatnot. And we're looking forward. They're trying to talk to me into getting on a bull. Not sure if I want to do that. My guest's going to join me. He's nodding his head yes. We've got a couple of street drags coming up at the Crosse Speedway, and we're going to talk about those here with my guest from Jeff's Auto Cycle and Repair in La Crosse. And that would be a good friend of the program, Jeff Grant. Good to have you back.
Hey, Dan.
You know, we were talking at the dirt track Friday. They have cash we're going to be given for men's and women's in 2 weeks at Mississippi Thunder to ride the mechanical bull. They're trying to get me on this. I'm like, yeah, I couldn't see 6'8" on the bull, but I have an advantage. Because being that tall, if I plant my feet, I'm just going to make the arm go.
I'll ride it if you do.
You ever done that before?
I have.
Does it hurt? Your back, neck, arm, what?
Not at that young.
Well, that's going to be coming up again, Mississippi Thunder Speedway, and they have a lot of cash and prizes up there. I do want to make mention real quick before we bring Jeff fully into the program. I finally had a chance to hit the Madison International Speedway on Sunday. What a great time it was down there on Wisconsin's fastest half-mile track. Kyle Benjamin made history Sunday, the youngest driver ever in ARCA history to pick up a win at age 15. Wow, and what a race he put on right there. That was the 200-lap feature event. Ross Kenseth, who I had on the AM 580 WKTY Race Report show, his first time ever in an ARCA Series car, he ended up taking 6. You could tell towards the latter part of the race, those tires were just going away from him. And Travis Sauter also got his way into a first ever ARCA Series ride. Had mechanical problems all the way through that race. I think he was like 118 laps down and started very well. He was running a very solid 8th, and then problems just happening all over the place. So it was nice to see both of them out. I do want to let you know that the NBC Sports Network will be airing that race from Sunday, 10 p.m. Central Time, Thursday, August 29th. At 11 o'clock. So make sure if you want to see what the ARCA racing in Madison looked like, you can do so on that channel there. So as the season winds down for the Crosse Speedway, something we've done, I think it's been 8 years now. So, has it been 8?
8 years, yeah.
8? God, I can't believe it's been that fast. 8 years, Chuck Deary started doing street drags at the Crosse Speedway. For those that don't know, it's not, it's not like your typical street drag you would see on Speed TV,
right,
or with the funny cars or NHRA and stuff like that. It's just a bunch of guys that have some time and have some muscle to go out and mess around a little bit.
It's cheap fun, and they got a class for everybody.
Now, you started out there. I started announcing, I think Chuck or somebody did the very first year, and then I met you the second year, and have run strong since then. And I tell you what, Jeff's given me a lot of tips on what to watch for, how to really call a street drag race. If something happens to someone's car, he's right there if he's not running himself, saying, I know what that part is or that part is. And I didn't know street dragging is something you don't normally see at your local racetrack.
No, not usually.
And then all of a sudden, 8 years later, did you think that it would be the success that it's been, where we can see anywhere between 150 to 225 cars and a couple thousand people?
It's grown quite a bit. It has. It's become real popular.
And you're like the go-to guy, I guess you could say, in certain aspects with some of these guys. Kind of explain to us how you do everything from receiving phone calls to seeing some of these hot rods to filling bottles.
Yeah, we fill the nitrous bottles, install nitrous kits. I've been working on engines and building stuff like this for years and years, and just you put all your common knowledge together and you share it with people, and that's just what you end up with.
and it's funny because when you used to run your Chevelle out there, you had primarily, when the street drag lacrosse was somewhat new, we have the Detroit Iron class, of course, the Chevelles and the big Novas and that kind of the Biscayne. Had to drop that in there. The American Muscle. Those were the guys that you had been working with, but then as the street dragging had gotten bigger, some of these pickup trucks we have and some of the short bed trucks, you've been getting calls from almost somebody at least all 15 classes. And what are some of the things you help them out with?
Everything from suspension to choosing tires to setting their motors up, jetting, carburation, cams, all kinds of stuff. Anything involved with the cars.
Do you ever have time to fix your own?
Not anymore.
Because there used to be a time there. I mean, we would always expect to see the Chevelle come out, and of course, Jeff had an accident off the track. Was it 2 years ago?
That would be 3 now.
3, backed it up into the turn 1 wall, and that damage wasn't good enough. He actually swung it around and then hit the other end.
If you're going to do it right.
And of course, Jeff stepped away for a little while, and for those street draggers that have been out this year, you've been running the Brown Nova, but now, you got the Nova late last year, didn't you?
I built the Nova last year, yep.
Okay.
Called the Grandpa's car.
And it's like when the Green Goblin used to come out, when I used to say looks are very deceiving.
Yep.
That's what you would see. When you get someone like Chris Bennett, who's got that big orange, shiny Nova.
Yep.
And then you've got Jeff's brown Bondo put together.
Rust.
But the thing is, it's what's under the hood of that car, and what's underneath the car is the performance.
Well, it is the street drags, and there's a race class and street classes, and that's kind of what we show with what we do out of the shop here. We like to put street cars out there and show them that they can go fast and still be driven on the street, and people like it.
And a lot of them, believe it or not, they're not trailered. They show up to the racetrack. They may have slicks. Of course, you can't run them on a highway, but they'll put them back in the truck and run back home. What we're going to do in this next segment is, I found a whole compilation of street drags from the Speedway that we're going to show you, and then we're going to have Jeff explain some things that he can see, because the angles of whoever shot these videos was fantastic. You can see how they hook up, primarily how they set up, and what it looks like when they stall.
Right.
And I hope Chad's watching.
Yep.
That's going to be coming up next on the Seven Rivers Racing here in KQEGTV.
Did you know that the Holman American Legion is open to the public? That's right. 7 days a week, you can enjoy the full-service bar while watching your favorite sports team or NASCAR driver. You don't need to be a member to enjoy the Holman American Legion's rotating lunch special every Tuesday for only $6. A banquet hall with seating up to 250 people is also available for weddings, birthdays, or any other special event. See you at the Holman American Legion, 419 First Avenue West in Holman.
Get ready for the Thunder, the Mississippi Thunder Speedway.
Your Friday night racing destination.
Racing starts at 7. Super stocks.
Modified.
600 mods.
Pure stocks.
Street stocks.
Levi.
It's racing excitement, dirt track style.
Tickets $12 for adults, $5 18 and under, $8 for students, or our family pack, $25 for 2 adults and 3 kids 18 and under. Friday night racing starts at 7.
Bring on the Thunder.
Dirt track style at the Mississippi Thunder Speedway. Highway 35 just north of Fountain City.
May I take your order?
Be not defeated by indecision. Choose the path that leads to a better day. Choose the way of the meal.
Make it a meal with one of Cousin Sub's new pork subs, the Memphis steak, or the Cubano for a limited time only.
The key to happiness is sharing.
No.
Cousin Subs. Better bread, better subs, better day.
We're back one more time. 7 Rivers Racing here in KQEGTV. I'm Dan Deicher along with my guest, Jeff Grant, longtime street dragger at the Crosse Speedway. We've got 2 more drags coming up. September 13th, it's a Friday night. The gates will open at 6, grudge racing at 6:45, and then 15 brackets or more. We'll be starting things off at 7:30, and then we've got the finality of the street drags, the 300-foot bracket nationals coming up Saturday, August 12th. So we're going to jump right into the video here. We got about maybe 3 or 4 minutes of street dragging video. And this was, I think, a good place, whoever shot this right here. This was the end of, I think, 2010 on the 300-foot swath right here. And I'm sure you're going to recognize a lot of these guys. Doesn't matter what class you have, what kind of a mentality and mindset do people have when they first get up to that line?
Well, some are real serious, some are real fun. It is all about the fun, but it does teach you a lot of control, focus. You know, as far as the vehicle goes, traction is a huge thing. You can learn a lot about driving on the street with the traction and stuff available out there. If you make a mistake on the line, you're going to lose the race. So
exactly.
Focus is a huge deal. Watching the light.
And you know, there are times that we've seen the track officials, if you end up jumping the light, that if you stop at least, you know, if we've got time, they'll back them both.
Back them up.
You know, a lot of guys are like, oh, I'm not going to be able to line back up again. They'll stop it right there and back them back up.
Some people complain a lot, but if you follow the rules and you're fair about it, the track is more than accommodating. Chuck and everybody they're terrific for all the racers. They make it work.
Of course, this was, I think, the Fall Classic there of 2010, and we're just giving you different shots. You know, it's awfully funny because where I announce that, I never ever get what it's like in these straight drag cars when they reach about that point there or the very end, because by the time you hit about halfway down that track, man, you're moving.
Yeah. A lot of the nitrous cars come on about a quarter to half track, and that's when the livelihood starts.
Have you recognized anybody yet?
All of them. Yep.
All these, it just gives our viewers a good view to a chance to see what the Detroit Iron. They're not all Chevys and they're not all Chevelles, and you know we've got Mustangs. I mean,
Camaros, Mustangs. There's imports. There's diesels. Everything. I mean, like we said earlier, there's a class for everybody out there, even the minivan class.
So explain to us the difference between the open class and the Detroit Iron class.
Well, the open class is basically a full race car. That's something you take to the quarter mile, you drag it, you run it. The Detroit Iron is split into the Detroit Stock and the Detroit Modified. Detroit Modified, they let you run the performance tires, but it's not a full race car. It's something that's still required to be streetable. You can trailer it in, but it's got to be more of a street car than a race car.
Right.
Detroit Stock is basically what it is. Stock tires, stock car, but it's performance muscle, American muscle style car.
So pretty much you could say off the showroom floor.
Pretty much.
Without hitting your shop first.
Right.
I think that's the easiest way to explain how that works.
We can always hide a nitrous kit.
Well, yeah. You know, it was funny, that white Mustang right there, probably one of the baddest ones we've ever had at that speedway. Mr. Summerfield comes out of Toma. Now his wife's been doing it.
Yep.
They have a great crowd that sits up there. And
he's one of the few stick shift cars yet. He shifts that car every race.
Oh, see, I don't know if I knew that or not.
He's got one of the only stick shift cars out there, and when you watch him race, you almost never know it, the way he shifts.
Well, you can hear when he hits second, and matter of fact, when we watch the video here in this next set, I don't know who this is dragging, but I can pretty much tell you when he gets into second gear is about maybe that third post there.
Yep.
Right about there, he's gone.
Yep.
Almost every single drag. Now, there's a blue Mustang that runs. It's got the 302 on the side of it, and he just ran in the minivan class here a couple of days ago as well. And I don't mean that may have been him there on that inside lane. And the difference between the automatic and the shift, sometimes you really can't even hear it.
Not usually anymore. Like him right there. When he shifts, you don't even know it. That's old school.
And that is just blazing fast at the La Crosse Speedway. Now, some of the other classes we have, of course, I think that have gotten a lot bigger. The tuner class has been huge.
Yep.
I think maybe year number 3 when we were seeing 30, 40, 50, 60 tuners, and those are Hondas and Toyotas and Mitsubishis. We've got Beamers running, some very good Beamers run that class.
Yep.
But what I think is interesting, and I don't know if you see this, because if he's not dragging, he's usually standing right behind the wall where I am, and he's watching the drags, is how fast some of these Pontiac G6s and Beamers are when they run against these Eagle Talons and some of these souped-up Mitsubishis. Does it surprise you that the gap of years has come together that close?
Not at all. That's what makes it so much fun. The horsepower's there. The horsepower's available. You just got to find it.
Right. Now, what about, is it called spooling? Spooling?
Spooling, yeah. We can spoon feed them. We can bottle feed them. Turbos, superchargers, nitrous, it's all power adders.
And, and this is not a track. We don't time people. We're not clocking people. We got a Christmas tree and a red and green flag at the very end.
It's pure heads-up racing.
But at the same time, and now, of course, you're very competitive, so the classes you're in are very competitive. We have a minivan class, of course, that's for fun. But the entire street drag culture of the La Crosse Speedway is just to have fun, get the kids off the streets and give them something to do on a Friday night.
You can't go anywhere and spend $5 and have more fun than that.
And it's not
legal.
Yeah, legal. And it's not 15 minutes. We're talking almost sometimes 2.5, 3 hours.
Well, yeah, it starts at 7. We're still there at 10 a lot. Yep.
Well, again, you'll see Jeff back out. Our next drag to wrap up the regular season is September 13th. And I know one that you really like to come to, and we're seeing cars from Racine and Waukesha and coming out of Illinois. The 300-foot bracket nationals, that to some people is like a championship night.
It is, yep. That's a big night for a lot of racers. And like you said, we get them from all over the state, other states too.
Time to step their game. Are you going to be up for that one?
Absolutely.
Not watching.
Probably not.
Jeff's got secrets. We're going to leave it sit right at that. That, again, mark your calendars, October 12th. We start at 2 o'clock. That afternoon, and some of the events we've had there on that Saturday, weather's just been a little bit crisp, fall-like, in a really, really nice setting.
Yep, it has been.
You ever going home with a pumpkin?
Nope.
Well, we got to get him a pumpkin this year to go with some of the big trophies that Jeff's gotten. Jeff Grant, probably one of the long-time, probably there's only about 4 or 5 drivers that have been in Dragon as long as he has. And he's really opened up to a lot of other people what we do there when we street drag. And I know Chuck Deary and all those guys want to thank you for that as well. And it's been a lot of fun.
It has been.
Well, watch the StreetDragsLAX.com website. They'll have the schedule, pictures, champions, and the whole thing. You'll be able to find out the schedule for next year as well. Also, CrossSpeedway.com. Got a little insert on there. For Jeff Grant, I'm Dan Deicher. I want to thank you for joining us in the program. Coming down to the very end, the show is going to get more interesting with a lot more championship video footage coming up as well. Thanks for joining us. This is Seven Rivers Racing on KQEGTV.